we're thinking that we can pay our $36 trillion debt by raising the price of gold to $142,000. That would be perpetual war all over the world. That shelf of mine in the safe that you see when I open the doors, that would make that shelf worth $30 million, like that. Watch out. The end of the world is near.
Have the COMEX and LBMA lost legitimacy?
That with me.
It's a fraud.
It is a fraud.
The worst day on Wall Street since the crash of 1987.
We're now down 43%.
This could be the most serious recession in decades.
Protect your retirement with a gold and silver IRA. Learn more at sdbullion.com/IRA. Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming in to studio, because I know you have long days at the shop. Was today a long one?
Yes, and I'm going right back there.
You're going right back afterwards. Okay, well, then we got a lot to pack in a short amount of time, so I don't keep you up too late. This is a video I sent you earlier by Andy Schectman with a precious metals company of his own, and I'd really like to get your reaction to some of the points he makes around gold repatriation, silver manipulation, and gold revaluation. All right, so let's listen to a few clips here.
The Fed has but two choices: inflate or default, right? Inflation, which is the path that we've always chosen, inflate away our debt, or just simply default. Is that really what we're going to do? I would argue inflation is the path that they have chosen, 100%. It is the path that they have chosen, but what if there is another path, right? I just want to think out loud here. Could there be a way to inflate the currency and make it less painful than outright hyperinflation created by the Federal Reserve? I don't know. How about this one? Gold revaluation. Now, you can't make this up. Every central bank balance sheet on the planet Earth, guess what the name of the account is where they hold gold? Guess. Yes, you got it. The gold revaluation account.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was actually called that.
I just thought that was one of their terms to keep people at arm's length, so people didn't really understand what they had. The revaluation account. Yes,
interesting.
It's held in the gold revaluation account. You have the head of the Dutch National Bank that has been screaming about this for a very long time. Revalue the gold. It's at $35 an ounce on our balance sheet. We cannot, under current laws, offset our liabilities with our gold holdings. And so what if we were to revalue gold to current numbers, or even revalue it higher? You have a member of the Bundesbank saying the same thing, and it gets closer to home when we look at Senator Cynthia Loomis from Wyoming, who spoke right after President Trump did at the Bitcoin meeting in Tennessee, who advocated for the strategic Bitcoin reserve. She came up and said, let's revalue the gold held by the Federal Reserve on behalf of the Treasury to a number high enough to use some of the proceeds to pay for the Bitcoin.
Okay, I pray to God that Trump does not listen to Saylor or Loomis or his kids or whoever it is and jeopardizes our national wealth with thin air.
There's one possibility of that making sense, and that is if they actually know where Bitcoin came from. And it's not some group of communists who put the idea together, but if they actually know where Bitcoin came from, they can successfully manipulate it.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And they can't let the Bitcoin get out of control because it's still in air. We were supposed to, not too many years ago, supposed to have 8,413 metric tons of gold. Now they're claiming it's 8,133 metric tons. But the New York Fed has 3,000 something metric tons. If you add up all the places they say we have gold, it's closer to 12,000 metric tons than 8,400 or 8,133. So I would, before they, and if they value it, are they valuing this at $35 or are they valuing it at whatever the COMEX says?
Or how about Judy Shelton, who I just interviewed? Judy Shelton says to me, Andy, we're going to issue 50-year treasuries redeemable in gold. She was his nominee for the head of the Federal Reserve, who wasn't confirmed, but she'll probably be on the Board of Governors this year. She wants to have 50-year treasuries pegged to gold. She said to me, Andy, I believe he will issue them on July 4th, 2026, which is the 250th year anniversary of the country. And I said, Judy, why haven't they audited the gold held at Fort Knox to the New York Fed? She says, well, it's a lame answer. They say it costs too much money. It's logistically challenged. But that's a bunch of crap, she says. We're the United States of America, for God's sakes. Let's just spend a few $1,000,000 and get it done. I said, damn right, Judy, let's do that. I couldn't agree more. I said, Judy, are they going to revalue the price of gold? Because it is held in the revaluation account. And she more or less said, yes, it would be in the vested interest of all the central banks to revalue gold, because after all, the most powerful bank on the planet, first and foremost, reclassify gold as a tier 1 asset.
Okay, we talked about this, Judy Shelton, about this 50-year treasury backed by gold. You think that actually is smart?
Judy's not going to live that long.
Good point.
But let me tell you, whatever the revaluation is, it's way too much. Because anything over where it is right now on the COMEX is dangerous territory.
When you see the amount of gold the central banks are buying, it's off the charts. In the month of October and in November, the central banks doubled their 12-month moving average. But they've already been buying more over the last 4 years than anyone has ever seen. But the second part, all these countries, Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Argentina, I can keep going, you can see it for yourself. Every single one of those countries have repatriated their gold from the Bank of England and the New York Fed.
India repatriated, I think, 100 tons of gold, metric tons. That's all of it. They don't want anyone else holding their gold, it seems.
Back in 2011.
Yep.
When they pressed the financial minister, whoever it is, in Italy as to why they were buying from the International Monetary Fund 200 metric tons of gold. And when he was pressed and pressed and pressed, he finally said, we needed to get rid of those U.S. treasuries. That was his answer. So
there you go.
I'm not going to blame India for doing anything like that. That makes good sense.
The reason they left it there all of these years is because it gave them direct access to the LBMA and to COMEX, the trading hubs, which are losing legitimacy as we speak, because they're playing the game of our stupidity of suppressing the price of gold and silver like a bunch of morons. And these contracts all have delivery mechanisms which nobody ever stood for my whole career. They are now, in a manner that is incredibly shrewd. Everyone says, well, why don't they just buy it all up? Because in the United States, instant gratification is not fast enough. No, they play the long game. They drain it, and then they drain it little by little by little by little. Then bang, one day we'll wake up and it's all gone. That's how it's going to happen. On a Friday night, on a Saturday night, you'll wake up to a new reality on a Monday morning, a delivery failure. It's gone. There is no more. They're playing the game because these countries are sophisticated, coordinated, motivated, wealthy as hell, and very shrewd.
What do you think?
If it hasn't already been drained? No, I don't think it's quite as dire as he says it is. But if you're running a hedge fund and you're successful at running it up because you're in concert with a bunch of other hedge funds, what would be the reason for running it up? To short it and make a lot of money. It's real money, even though it's just paper. It's real money.
Have the COMEX and LBMA lost legitimacy, as he contends?
They have with me.
It's a fraud.
What?
It's a fraud.
It is a fraud.
How about the little by little and then bang, it's all gone?
I don't think that's happening. I think they would much rather make money the old-fashioned way. You pump it up and burn it. Pump it up and knock it down. And it's too tempting. You know, if you can get all the hedge funds to work together, it's much too tempting to get it up to an all-time high and then short it. They're under no pressure to do that now because individuals aren't buying gold, and I dispute what he's saying about central banks buying gold. That's very dangerous for a central bank. What central bank has reserves that they can afford to do that?
You know, it's interesting. Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary, if he gets confirmed, which I'm assuming he will, what's his largest holding? Anyone know? Gold. He has publicly said gold is his largest holding.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know where that gold is that he is called his largest asset.
I know. I didn't know he had such a strong position. That is interesting. Anyway.
All what that would need to be done, as crazy as it sounds, would be for Trump to say to Scott, Scott, tell Jerome to revalue gold. No congressional approval needed, and bang, gold is revalued to a level sufficient enough to achieve what he wants to achieve. Now, every $4,000 increase in the price of gold would add $1 trillion free and clear to the Treasury general account. Free and clear.
Every $4,000 increase in the price of gold would add $1 trillion free and clear to the U.S. Treasury. That's pretty amazing.
It's the end game, which is extremely dangerous because,
well, could he tell Scott to do that without congressional approval? Tell Jerome.
But I think he's smarter than that. I think Trump is very good at math. And, let's finish this thought. And it's on the screen.
Right. It's right on the screen. Yep.
Okay. To fully offset the U.S. federal debt of $36 trillion with the 261 million ounces of gold reserves, the price of gold would need to rise to approximately $142,000
per ounce.
Okay. That shelf of mine in the safe that you see when I open the doors, that would make that shelf worth $30 million, like that. Okay. And it's not much there because there are boxes all over the place. But just what you can see on that shelf would be $30 million. Worse than that, the day that happened is the day that a personnel carrier shows up at my front door on Granite Street, rams the door, or maybe they get out, put a bomb, blow the door off, come in and hook that safe and drag it out. Why? Because there's, of the ounces, $142,000 will go a long way, okay? Or all the places that China has mines, okay? The way they set up a mine in some place in Africa, let's say the Congo, for example, because they're under perpetual civil war. So you find out who the strong guy is, pay him a lot of money, tell him to raise an army, and arm them all and say, okay, here's $1 billion for you. Don't let anybody near that mine. And the gold is worth $142,000 an ounce. What the hell? Hey, why don't we all work together? Storm that mine and steal everything. Okay.
So it's chaos.
And
You're saying
it'll happen once someplace, and then it will happen all over the world. Small countries will raise armies and go wherever the gold is. What started the original Gulf War?
Oil?
No. It was Iraq went to Kuwait and stole their gold.
Oh, that's right.
And what was it worth then? Let's see, $300, $400 an ounce. Let's say that the gold that has been repatriated by Kuwait is now worth $142,000. You think it's going to be Iraq or maybe Saudi Arabia and Iran working together? Okay? Blow the place up and get the gold. This is going to happen all over the world if that ever happens. So we're selfish. We're thinking that we can pay our $36 trillion debt by raising the price of gold to $142,000. That would be perpetual war all over the world. All over the world. And, if they did that, I'd be bailing really quickly. And I probably would just leave the gold there because I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Interesting take, too.
Well, what's human nature?
Wow. Oh, it's
what
not
is human
good
nature?
To take.
Okay.
Fortunately.
We're out there paying, $3,000 of our hard-earned money to buy a little piece of gold. And now it's worth $142,000. What the hell? Break the doors down. And I sure wouldn't want to be that Yankee guy because I understand he sold some gold.
As much as
But
you do.
Seriously, that is
a big problem. Yeah.
That is human nature.
That is a very interesting take.
And, that may be one of the reasons that they hear people in China talking like this.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all that gold we have in Africa, get it back here. That's what they've been doing. They haven't been buying gold. They've been repatriating gold. And they're supposed to have what? Now they say it's 2,200 metric tons.
Right.
They probably have twice that, if not 4 times that. And, They also have nuclear weapons. So maybe they know where it actually is stored because they send balloons over that can sense gold. Outside of this country, there are lots of very smart people. But if they revalue gold to $142,000, watch out. The end of the world is near. That's insane. You raise one commodity like that, and everything else is hyperinflation. Everything else. Because they're not concentrating anything else. You know, why am I working for it? I got a handful of gold. I don't need to go to work. Hyperinflation.
Man.
Serious hyperinflation.
Great take. Let's shift gears just a little bit towards silver manipulation. Okay, listen to this.
They have been shorting gold and silver for so long, naked shorting. As an example, let's look at silver. In London right now, they have 800 million ounces on the LBMA, of which only 300 million are unencumbered. 500 million belong to the ETFs. They trade between 4 and 6 billion ounces short on paper. 95% are paper contracts.
95%.
They say they trade 290 million ounces a day of the 300 million float. But they also say that those numbers are 10 times underestimated because they only post the final settlement numbers. That's 2.9 billion ounces a day of silver by these 8 or 9 Western banks, 3.5 times annual global mine supply every single day. Almost 3 times annual global mine supply every single day on COMEX.
All true.
They say they trade 290 million ounces of silver a day, but those numbers are 10 times underestimated. So 2.9 billion ounces of silver traded a day.
That's right. And all on paper. Every bit of it on paper. It doesn't matter if it's ETFs or contracts with the COMEX.
Well, how about
It's all on paper.
How about we get Doge to go after that? This naked shorting crap.
Because they got to get some of these Democrats in jail first. And, you know, it's amazing. He says this is a great big money laundering scheme they're facing with USAID.
Yeah,
okay?
I know. Yep.
And then you have all these people out there protesting. What I would do, take the names of all those people protesting. Somebody always benefits from a money laundering scheme. Honestly, I think it's all those people who are protesting.
The prices are distorted. Rehypothecation on COMEX, 700, 800, 900, 1,800, 2,000% rehypothecated. That would mean if 20 of you all hold a contract for delivery and you all stand up to cash it in, if you're lucky, one will get the gold, the rest get cash settled, force majeure. It is a blow up of the system just like that. Could it happen? I bet it will.
Could it happen?
It's already happened. There's no silver to back up those contracts. None. Or ETFs.
But they're still playing the game. They're still playing the musical chairs with silver.
But
The music
COMEX,
hasn't stopped
you
yet,
notice
Tim.
that as gold goes up every single day, silver goes up and then goes back. And
Right.
then goes up and then goes back.
Yeah.
I think they'll continue to try to hold silver back. It's goes above 32 and it goes below 32 and it goes above 32 and below 32.
I hear you.
But
it was doing that around 25, 27, 25, 27,
30,
29.
29,
Yeah, we saw, and then it went to another plateau.
That's exactly right. Yeah, but is that keeping a track of inflation? at the
No,
same
heavens,
time?
no.
I think inflation has them in that whatever that neighborhood is.
Oh,
Inflation is what's taking them there.
silver, all-time record high for silver, inflation adjusted, be around $140, $150 an ounce. So we're nowhere near there. But
No, and it's going to be very hard to get there.
at some
Very
point,
hard to
though,
get there.
at some point, what if there was a run? What if there was? And people started to say, hey, delivery, we don't have it.
Tried. Probably SD Bullion is, every time they've gotten a big bar, they probably caused a run.
They do have a lot of silver.
They could. SD Bullion could cause a run. It would take a few wholesalers to demand delivery, and then we find out how short they really are. You gotta ask Cole.
I should ask Cole that. That's a great question.
How many of these bars would it take for you to collapse the COMEX?